and welcome to the God is a Geek podcast. My name's Adam Cook. My name is Adam Cook, as they say. It's episode 498. I am here joined by the marvellous Christopher Hyde.
My name is Chris Hyde. See, when I say it, right, it sounds a little bit like I was trying to be a gangster, but really failing.
What?
Like I was about to go into a rap, like, my name's Chris Hyde, and I am here to stay. I don't know, whatever. Speak to Lyle.
Let's introduce Lyle quickly, who is also magnificent. Hello, Lyle.
I'm also here. Hello, and I am magnificent.
And I'm not rushing the introduction to Lyle, but I do want to get back to that discussion about the rap and where you were going. Like, I kind of was into it. My name's Chris Hyde, and I'm here to stay. Everybody says that I'm a
knobhead.
Doesn't
This
rhyme.
is why I can be a rapper.
Yeah. That's a fair comment, really, I suppose. We better get stuck into it then, chaps, because it's game time. There's lots of them. I'm going to start this week. I don't normally, but I'm going to start with a game that I'm not going to talk about for very long, right? And I touched upon this briefly in the actual review. I love Splatoon 3. Okay? I'm just going to get that out there. I absolutely love it. I loved 2. It had its issues. But this kind of, I wouldn't say fixes them all, but it does course correct so much of the minor things. But at the same time, I totally get why someone might be like, yeah, it's not a very exciting release, is it? Do you know what I mean? And I feel like there is a lack of excitement for this game, and I do understand it. I do. Like, I understand it, and it's fair because it's like in the review, I thought about this, and I thought that I'm just going to end up going through the thing, and I'm probably going to do this again. I'm going to go through the things they've kind of fixed, which has just made it the better game, if that makes sense. Like the really weird online stuff that Nintendo sort of sometimes do, like, hey, you can only play the co-op mode when we say so. Gone. You can play it whenever you want. The really annoying messages, like when you boot the game up telling you what maps are in rotation, you just click the left stick in, and once you've done that, it's always going to be just a little thing in the top corner going through that you can completely ignore and go about your business. And these are like what I would say were almost minor things, but they're kind of not minor things when these are games designed. Yes, there's a single player. Yes, there's a cooperative player. But the multiplayer is the kind of core of this. This is the multiplayer is the thing you're playing in a year's time still, you know, like Call of Duty or FIFA. They're the things that you return to. And it's not a minor thing when, like, I was talking to a friend of the site, Mikhail, and he was like, it's the thing is that when you play, like, I think he said like 600 hours of Splatoon 2, that message is not minor anymore. Mm-hmm. It's a massive deal, and it's really, really annoying. And to know it's gone is like a big deal. Other than that, like the multiplayer maps I really dig. There were a few where you're like, I would, you know, I've got bad memory, and there's like a few where you're like, I would forgive myself for not remembering this was actually just a Splatoon 2 map, because I'm sure that you know that it's not the maps that I remember this game for. It's the fun, it's the chaos, it's the gameplay. But there are some maps that are really really cool. Like the one on screen right now has, and they've done this before, but like the map changes as you go through. They're only 3-minute matches in Splatoon, so you're never like in them for hours. But like the maps change, some of them, not all of them. There's moving parts, and I really like that. And I still think that of all the kind of multiplayer shooters out there, and I use that term in inverted commas and quite loosely, of all the sort of games like this out there, it's still really unique to me because very few games will say, actually, eliminating your enemy opponent is not really a big deal. Do you know what I mean? Like in Call of Duty, you have to kill the enemies. In PUBG or something, it's a completely different game to PUBG, but the idea is be the last man standing. Splatoon isn't that. It is like, yes, you can ink or splat your enemies, and it gives you a little bit longer to get some territory control. But the ultimate thing is, I mean, the amount of times I was playing in the review period, and it's like, you fuckers, you haven't painted the base. You haven't painted our base, and it's great that you're roaring ahead and painting everything else, but when that big map comes up at the end, there's a big part here that they can it's really hard. It's really difficult to get right into the enemy sort of spawn zone. Because for one, even if you do and you ink it, eventually you will get killed. And then they're respawning there, so they're going to just paint over it. So if you don't even bother to paint your home zone, as it were, I mean, it even gives you, like, you know, when you play multiplayer games, you get like little medals at the end of a match, like most inked territory, or, you know, most kills or whatever. It even gives you them, and one of them is like most, I think it's home base inked. Like it's really trying to tell you, hey, do this, please. Like, because it is not a game where it's like, and listen, like, you'll get matches where you get 14 kills or something, and you're like, how did I do that? And it's totally by accident, or at least it should be. Because if you're playing it to be like, I'm just going to go and eliminate everyone, I would find you a very frustrating teammate.
The players that don't play the objective.
Well, no, it's not so much that. Yeah. It's not so much that. It's that, like, if you don't play the objective in this, you will lose. Like, you could get 20 kills. Does not matter. Yeah. You won't even get your special, probably, because your special builds up by ink, ground covered. That's what this game is about. It is about that. So, yeah, the people who don't play the objective, it's like... Do you remember when Call of Duty and Battlefield sort of started to merge almost, like become very similar? A bit like FIFA and PES, where they'd nick a mode off the other game. Like COD did this, so Battlefield did it, and then Battlefield did this, so COD did this. And it's a bit like that. It's like this... You have to... Because those merges almost happened, people were just playing Call of Duty like it was just a Call of Duty multiplayer game. And all of a sudden, you'd get people in Battlefield who were playing it like it was a Call of Duty game, and they were just running and gunning, and you're like, dude, we're supposed to be getting the objective and sitting on it and getting the A.A to... What are you doing? And this game is all that, like, in the multiplayer. And it's still just a tremendous amount of fun. It's just still a tremendous amount of fun. Like, the 3-minute matches mean... Like, in the review period, I was sitting there playing, it's like going, I actually want to go do something else now, because I want to go and play back the story mode. And I'm like, oh, I've only been playing half an hour. And in half an hour, 3-minute matches, you've played loads of matches.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the only real negative to this game that I can come up with is that they still have a 2-map rotation system, which means you could play the same map 3 times in 10 minutes. It is what it is. Like, they're clearly not going to change it. It's clearly something they think is the way to do it. I don't know if it's a case of... Because it's not even a case of, like, hey, you're going to get bored if we can just let you play any map all the time. But at the same time, it's like, well, I don't play all day, every day. Like, it feels like part of the reason they are... Like, the co-op horde mode, the salmon run thing, was like, if you... I was looking up on Reddit, actually, about this, and people were saying, like, I never got to play it, because although they widened the times were still in my region when I was at work, 9 till 5 or something, and I couldn't play it, because I got home, and by the time I'd showered or seen the kids or had dinner, like, it was off again. So they kind of get it. But the same principle would apply to multiplayer maps. Like, if you're only rotating them so-and-so, you might never see some of them. You can practice in them and do private matches, but it's not the same as just hitting a button. Salmon Run, I've not got a huge amount to say, because although they've added, again in the review, they've added a few little bits and pieces, like you can throw the eggs now that you have to collect in the round, and there are new bosses and obviously new weapons in the overall game. It needs a few more maps, and it doesn't feel like they've refined it a huge amount. It feels more like they've gone, fine, you can play it whenever you want. You happy now? Do you know what I mean? And that's it.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, of course, mate.
It's going to be a bit provocative, but that's me. Is this Splatoon 3 or is it Splatoon 2.5? Because everything you're saying sounds very much like they could have just 2 years ago come out with an update for Splatoon 2.
It's a fair question.
Fix the problems that they kind of created themselves by having restrictions. And I'm just asking.
So what I would say is Splatoon 2 felt like, oh, people really liked Splatoon, but it was on Wii U. So no one's playing it, and not enough people bought it. So we'll stick that on Switch and call it Splatoon 2, when really it's Splatoon 1.5. Okay, that did feel that way, and they added a single-player campaign. But nothing about the game really changed. Like, it was very much, we've got this game and this idea that's like from nowhere, and they really liked it. But we've got the Wii U problem. Now we've got the Switch, we've got a massive audience. Let's give this game another go. It sold something like 13 million copies. It did very well. Splatoon 3 feels like the culmination of everything. So they've taken everything that was good about it, and now they've gone, right, okay, it's taken them a couple of games almost. Do you know what I mean? Like, they've kind of... It's taken them almost a couple of practice runs, which sounds awful when people are paying all this money for it. But this is it. Like, if they were to announce a Splatoon 4, for example, in a few years, I'd be surprised. because it would have to have some massive new unique thing. This feels... They've brought everything in. There's new weapons. There's a bigger single-player campaign. They've given you more... There's a table turf battle, which is like a Tetris battle version of Splatoon, which is unique and cool. Not going to keep people like off the other modes. It's kind of like a nice little diversion. But the way they're treating this now, the way they've kind of... Again, it's all these little tiny things. All these little things that you might not notice if you were brand new to the game or had just dabbled. There are all these things that kind of change the core of it and make it well worth a sequel. I accept that people might go, it's not that exciting because it's still Splatoon. I get that. But I don't think that's a fair criticism unless we're going to give it to everyone, which means Gears of War 5 has to be labelled. Call of Duty has to be a 4 out of 10 because it's just guns, isn't it, and shooting every year.
And I didn't mean it like that. I know. It was more... Because you're right, sometimes it's just more of X and is better. That's, in a reductive sentence, is not necessarily a massive negative because you go... The stuff that it started with was pretty damn good to begin with, right?
That's it, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I have a similar but different question to Chris. Mine is, I played and absolutely loved Splatoon 1 and skipped Splatoon 2. Am I going to really, really love Splatoon 3?
Yes, I would say so, because what you're going to get, what you never got with the first one, is like a full campaign mode. Now, the campaigns kind of act as tutorials in a lot of ways, but what they've done this time is while the kind of... So you've got... I'm going to be a bit careful because I know the game's kind of out. I mean, there's someone in our YouTube chat here, Udi1127, who says it's 3. He's been playing it for a few hours. But I still don't really want to spoil anything too much, right? The thing about Splatoon is it's mega weird, like that, and it's that kind of weird that you only get in video games and you love it. Do you know what I mean? You love that this is a thing we can have. And there's quite a lot of lore in Splatoon 3. Now, it's not like really surfaced, like, hey, look at this, but it's kind of... It's not hard to find. And when I was reading it, I'm like, this is quite dark for Nintendo. That's all I'll say. It's like, it's interesting. And what they do is the main sort of missions that you sort of have to play to progress the story, there's not a great deal of them. And often one of them is like, we're going to teach you how to use the TriCaster, the new weapon. We're going to teach you how to use this. There's a special where you basically get in like a big mech, a crab mech that can roll, and it looks a bit like in Overwatch, the hamster character that I'm forgetting on the name, but it looks a bit like that, and like you're shooting there's this crab, and there's a whole level dedicated to that. But what they do is there's loads of optional levels, and that's where they do stuff that's a bit like, and again, this won't help you, Lyle, but in Octo expansion and for 2, there were all these weird like time trials or target practice levels, and there's all this weird stuff where they get into that. And then you've got Salmon Run, which you won't have played, and it's just a so much more complete package. And it's like, again, if they suddenly come out in a year's time and say Splatoon 4, I would probably have to sort of furrow my brow a bit and go, yeah, okay. I mean, I know it sells, but we're getting into sort of, do you remember the old days of FIFA when it was just a new names and we would be getting into that. I mean, I will say, I'm not going to spoil it, but some of the stuff towards the end of the campaign, it's like, Nintendo, this is good shit. You know what I mean? This is the good shit. Splatoon 3, go and read the review, watch the video review. There's even a YouTube short you can have a look at that shows off like the lack of forced cutscenes. It's just... I think it will win new fans because I think there were people, like you just said, who didn't play Splatoon 2, and 3 is just a fantastic package. I don't know how you could play it and not find something fun about it, because the biggest thing about Splatoon for me that I've always liked in a multiplayer sense is that you don't have to be like Mr. Super Reflexes like in Call of Duty. You know, Call of Duty I play now and I feel old. I feel my age because there's people half my age who I can't... It's not a skill thing. My eyes physically aren't going to be as quick and reflexes aren't as quick as them anymore. In Splatoon, you're rewarded. You could just be like using a slosher, which is the literally a paint can that you're throwing at, and you're just painting the floor. And you will get a decent score by doing the job, as it were. And I think that's something to be shouted about, if you will. But let's talk about something that's very different. Let's talk about some Disney Dream Valley, right? Dreamlight Valley. I keep forgetting the Dreamlight. Yeah. This game is something I've been looking at for a while, okay? And it's Animal Crossing, but Disney. With all the things that people complained about in Animal Crossing New Horizons kind of tweaked. If that does that make sense? Like, you know,
given that Lyle hates it, yeah.
No, but I should be clear.
I'm always provocative, but
no, but the thing is that you and I weren't bothered by, is what I'm saying. But other people would write articles about and say, "Oh, God, you got this, that, and the other," and like we weren't bothered by that because we played Animal Crossing for years. But a lot of other people are bothered by it.
And given conversations on other podcasts, I'd be really keen to understand what Lyle thinks or what he's heard or what he thinks about this, based on what the content is.
I kind of wish I'd played this, to be honest, but I literally just got finished playing a lot of Ooblets, and it feels like playing too many life sims back to back might just like break my soul a little bit. But I'm interested by it. I do kind of want to play it, and for more of my Animal Crossing opinions, if you want to be a Patreon at patreon.com/godasageek, you can listen to an exclusive podcast that mentions just that.
Indeed, and before we go on, there's a super chat here from Mikhail who said Call of Duty is probably as bad as Snap now. He doesn't like Pokemon Snap, I know that for a fact. But yeah, like the thing is with this, I don't know, I didn't play as much as our reviewer, Chris White, and he's not here, obviously. I don't know how grindy it gets, but what I will say is it really does seem to throw money at you and all the other currencies. Like it certainly hasn't made me feel like I'm going to have to invest anything yet. But it is in an odd situation because it's early access, so you can buy the Founders Pack. It's actually on Game Pass as well for PC and Xbox. And it's like next year when it's like out, it's going to be free. But this isn't the first game to do that, so I don't think we can crucify it for that. Like the other games have done the exact same model. So I don't think that's even worth more than a cursory mention. What were you going to say?
Yeah, sort of like Multiverses did sort of the same thing, didn't it? Although on a sort of much quicker scale. It was only a few weeks.
Yeah, no, this is obviously next year. It's going to be out. So I just really like it. It's just it's not a huge amount to talk about. It's just really, really enjoyable, and like it's one of those. If I was to say it was Animal Crossing, I would also say there's a bit of Stardew in there, and that you run out of energy, but if you want to just cram some food down you can. And again, like you can. I felt like every time I went in and out of a building, the apples or the raspberries on the bushes and trees would just respawn, so you're really not short of energy. But it takes what Animal Crossing is, and it adds that Stardew in that, like, you cook recipes, and you physically have to get, like, apples and wheat and whatever it is, and you can make an apple pie in a cooking pot, and then you can sell that, and the better, like, if you get 5-star recipes, you're going to get loads of money. And it's that kind of thing. Like, so, and each of the Disney characters, like Mickey, Scrooge, I've forgotten his name, Remy, isn't it, from Ratatouille, Wall-E, there's Moana, and who's the guy that Rock plays in Moana?
Maui.
He's in it, Now, if there was a criticism, and I think, again, this is probably expectation-wise, the voice acting is that they've clearly just taken the clips of, like, Moana going, oh, yeah, hi, and that's it. And it's the same for Remy. It's the same for most of them. They're like, Merlin's like, and Mickey Mouse is, ha! It's there's no fully voiced.
It's the Nintendo interact with a character with one soundbite type thing. It's the Link thing, right?
It is, but it's like I sort of didn't expect, The Rock to have a fully voiced role, especially for this game.
No, exactly. Yeah, that's the thing. It's like bring on The Rock just for Maui for this particular game.
I think it's his voice where they've obviously. I mean, I'm sure at some point in that film he says, "Hey," and they've just taken that little clip or got a sound alike. But it's just a really nice way to play. And I also found it's quite nice, like with Animal Crossing when you'd have it on the Switch and handheld, you can just I'll just do a little bit of this, a little bit of that. It's similar on Steam Deck for me. Like it runs perfectly on there, and it's like, again, it feels really sort of pick up and play and just do a bit, and then come back another day. So yeah, I've been playing that, and another game I'm gonna very briefly talk about is Steelrising.
Very similar.
Yeah, it couldn't be much more different. Steelrising is a Souls-like game by Spiders, a developer that, like Mick Fraser, who reviewed it, has always sort of championed Spiders as a developer that, like, kind of they're going to get there one day. That all their games have been like 6s and 7s tops, and they'll get there one day. There's always just so much jank in them. Now I see what he likes about this game, like I do. I didn't quite get on with it because it's one of those Souls-likes that's how would I put this? So it's a bit like Lords of the Fallen, which was like a really heavy game, if I recall.
Yeah.
And it's not like, say, Sekiro or Elden Ring, you know. So it's not that kind of. You can jump and double jump and stuff in this, and do, but it just
I know what you mean.
feels very. What's the other one? What's the futuristic one where you graft stuff onto your arms and stuff? They made 2 of them now. Oh God, 505 Games publish them.
Oh, what is that?
But that game.
Yeah,
it's terrible that I can't even remember the title of that game. But that series, it is the Surge, Lyle. That's a great pull. It is the Surge and the Surge 2, which again don't feel quite as heavy as Lords of the Fallen, but do have that weight to them. Everything you'd want about a Souls game is here. But what I wanted to bring it up for mostly is that they've done the unthinkable. They've put difficulty sliders into a Souls game. So I thought it was worth bringing up because of that.
How very much dare they?
So here's the thing, right? I got to the first boss, and of all the genres out there, I think this might be the genre I'm the pickiest over. This or platformers. Like, I'll either love one of these kind of games, or I'll be like, I'm not interested. It just doesn't. A lot of it can be down to the setting, actually. I think sometimes, like, I don't particularly dig the marionette style automaton stuff in this. It's not my bag. I get why others would. This, I banged my head up against the sort of first proper boss a few times, and it's like, oh, fucking hell, yeah, it's one of these, isn't it? It's one of these. And I was like, I'm not in the headspace for this. I don't really want to do this. Bollocks to it. I'm going to have a look at these difficulty options and see what the hell we can do with this. You can trivialize that combat. You can you can change the difficulty with all these different sliders so that you run out of stamina less. You've got more stamina. You get hit less hard. You can literally put a slider where you get your damage received is lowered. To the point where if you have got some semblance of knowledge with these games, you could trivialize it. It is like going on super easy mode. But because of that, I played more of it than I would have otherwise. Because I wasn't in the mood for a game where I had to bang my head against bosses over and over again. I wasn't in the mood for, what like the Dark Souls do, where you've got to run through 10 enemies to get back to the boss in the first place. I wasn't in the mood for that because of the slow pace of the combat. I think it's a great thing. I'm not saying I think the game's great. I think the game's decent. It's certainly I'd say the best Spiders game I've played. It mainly is a lot of the aesthetic is just not my bag. And these games that when you're going to spend this long with these games, that's important. But I think the difficulty stuff is worth talking about and championing because it's absolutely fantastic. It does not affect. If I was one of these people that's like, well, I'm going to play it properly, fine.
Yeah, this is the thing for me. Whenever I hear this conversation, I'm like, I don't get the gatekeeping conversation around if it has difficulty settings in it and you don't want to touch them, then don't touch them. It doesn't hurt you, knowing that they're there. But if you want them, then they're there. And I've never understood it. And I always, unless I'm having a really bad time, will always play on the normal difficulty, right? The difficulty of the intended developer difficulty, almost always, right? Yeah. So I'm like, well, this is clearly what the intention was, so I'll play it like that. And only unless if I'm banging ahead, I'll lower it. But generally speaking, I'll power through or just say, fuck that, I'm stopping. And it's never bothered me knowing that there were easier difficulty settings or even harder ones that I can't deal with. And it's not the thing that always surprised me about this sort of stuff is it seems to be just this genre that people get really picky about it on, because difficulty settings have existed in all other genres. And even like you can lock, if you touch the difficulty settings, you can lock yourself out of trophies and various other things. That's been in existence ever since trophies have existed, where you have to, you've got to complete the game on this difficulty setting. But if you touch it at any point, you're locked out for the whole playthrough. Even that's existed for tens of years probably, and I just don't get it. I think it's great. I think well done to them. That, you know, it should be. Why not? I don't get why it hurts people that don't 100%, want to lower it.
If this game's difficulty options, I'm going to absolutely curse myself now. But if this game's difficulty options, as they are, exactly as they are, were in Bloodborne, a lot of people would have played that game because the style of Bloodborne and its kind of visual look and the audio. But it's like, especially the DLC of Bloodborne is like particularly difficult. First run through anyway, like in the final boss, like Orphan of Kos, isn't it? And like that is a very difficult boss. You know, it's usually in the list of top 10 Souls bosses. You know.
Yeah, and what I would say I haven't played Steelrising, but from what you've said around how you can tweak the type of difficulty and assistance that you get, that for me is really interesting as well. It's not just like I'm going to put it down to easy, and the developers have defined what that is. Now you almost get a bit of everything where you can just go, no, do you know what? I just need a bit more stamina. Just let me have a little bit more stamina and I'll play everything else the same. That might be what you want to do. And I think that's also quite a clever approach to it, rather than just saying you've got standard, like normal, easy, very easy. I think that's quite a clever way of implementing it into this type of game as well.
Like, and the thing is just, yeah, like you said, the word gatekeeping is exactly that. Like, it's just, in a game like this, like I genuinely would have stopped. Not because I'm crap at games, but because I wasn't in the mood. I wasn't in the mood and my patience was thin. But because I could ramp it up so that I would hit harder and be hit less hard, have more stamina, generally stuff like that, it just meant, well, you know, I'll tell you what it almost turns these kind of games into. And this is perhaps why I played more of it. You know, like the Devil May Cry's, you know.
I was going to say Devil May Cry.
It kind of pulls it back in that direction. Yeah. Now, it doesn't make it one of those because you still have a stamina bar. You still have, you know, the kind of... But like in this one, that's another thing you can actually do. You can also turn off, you know, so when you die in a Souls game, you lose your whatever it is, souls.
Yeah.
You can turn that off.
Soul echoes.
You can turn that off. And that can be the only thing you turn off. So the difficulty is all the same, and the only thing you turn off is the fact that when you die, you don't lose your currency.
Yeah.
That reduces the fear level so much. Because you aren't afraid to explore, because you aren't like, well, shit, if I go around this corner and get ganked, I've lost it all. So, conversely, you could leave that on, but do all the other bits. Now, it's not like completely finite. Like, it's not like everything's tweakable. There's not actually that many options. They just kind of work in tandem pretty well with this style of game. But I was bemoaning the fact that there's less of those kind of games, and everyone's going for Souls now. Like, it really, I mean, obviously, it's Elden Ring sales mean we're going to get a lot more Souls, if anything else, if nothing else, rather. But being able to dial it in a bit with the difficulty means that I felt it was more like an older Devil May Cry or something, and I'm here for that. I like those games a lot.
I think we've had a conversation where you're like, Devil May Cry's not made me smile today when I played it. So do you know what I mean? And I agree. I think I'm always of the opinion that if there are ways in which more people can enjoy more games and experience more games, then that's all the better. Always thought that.
And on that note, I've talked for half an hour about the games I've been playing this week, so I think we should ask Mr. Carr what he's been up to.
It's my half hour now.
Yeah.
So this week for me has been the week of RPGs. So I've got 2 RPGs and I'm going to talk about them. And I'll start with the game that has released today, Jack Move, which is a sort of like a cyberpunk, like sort of retro RPG, like sort of like it feels like a classic JRPG, but instead of taking like 50 hours to beat it, it's 8 hours long. And all the goodness that you think of in one of these massive, amazing classic RPGs, your Final Fantasy 6/3, depending on, you know, how you want to call it, or your Chrono Trigger, all the goodness from a game like that, they've managed to condense it into this 8-hour experience, and it is glorious. It's absolutely fantastic. It just, because they have, you know, because it has that short runtime, they've managed to just like, everything goes at a rapid pace. You're never going to be stuck in like a dungeon of some sort and like wandering around mazes and like having random encounters just feel like they go down your neck. And there are even random encounters in this game, but they're not too bad. They're not like, I feel like they're quite lenient. You can turn them down and off as well if you're at one end of a dungeon and realize, I should have taken that turn back there, and like there'll probably be like a chest there because I think I'm going the right way now.
Never thought
like there were a few times where
that's a great idea.
I just turned them off when that happened.
Because I didn't. I mean, I've not finished it, but I didn't adjust that at all because it sort of says to you as well, listen, you can turn them down, but you might be a bit under leveled. So I was like, oh, well, fair enough. But what you've just said is a great example. Like you say, you just, that's clearly the boss if I go up there and I forgot that chest. Oh, I'm going to have like 20 battles. Turn it off, quickly run back and get the chest. That's terrific.
Turn it off.
Yeah. Which again shows kind of, although it's quite... I don't want to use archaic because that's unfair, but although it is an old-fashioned... I mean, it has the Final Fantasy VII swirly thing when you... It has that. And although that's quite old-fashioned, the fact you can just go, nah, and turn it off... And then the weird thing is, right, I don't know if this applies for you. I used to get, like, almost... I don't want to use the word triggered, but I almost had, like... I don't know. When that would happen, it would almost sort of make me go, twitch a bit, because it's like, I played so many hours of the Final Fantasies, and when you're trying to sort of, not speedrun, but do stuff... And that happens, you just sort of, a little bit, and like, because you're like, just let me get on. And so when this first started happening, they started removing this from games, and you got the, what would it be? It'd be like the Trials of Man, it's kind of the Trials, no, not Trials of Man, what would it be that started that trend?
It was in Tales.
The Tales series where you see an enemy and you're like, well, it's kind of Tales that started that, and other people copied it, and a lot of games, in fact, all games. So I kind of, when you go back to this, it actually is all right, isn't it? Like, it's not, you wouldn't want every game to do it.
It's been long enough, almost.
Yeah. You wouldn't want it in every game.
But when it was every game, it felt awful. But I feel like it also helps that this is an 8-hour game. If you were playing this for 50 hours, I bet you would get towards the end. You'd be going through one area and you'd be like, oh God, it's time for another random battle. It's really cool as well, because the whole setting, the cyberpunk sort of setting, like, it's all sort of like hacker themed, so all your abilities are like, and your items are like software and hardware and installing and patching and
which
stuff like that.
Which sounds complicated.
It's like it's kind of like it sounds complicated until you're just like, that's just magic items, in it, and then it's fine.
Oh, okay, right,
like
I'm with you.
To use a magic attack, attack, you have to use data, which is magic, MP. It's just conversion.
Yeah, like that. Okay, with you. Yeah.
Totally, yeah. But like when you first have your very first battle, and you just see down the side, it's like install patch software, and you're like, the fuck is going on?
What am I doing? I'm never going to understand this. Yeah.
But it's all just fine. You've got your super moves and stuff like that. It's all just very satisfying. It also has a really good story. The story and the characters are just like gripping. There are some genuinely like poignant moments as you get deeper, but at the same time, like, everyone's just quite bantery and chatty and like likable as well. So it doesn't go too hard on the like emotional stuff, so that when it happens, it's like it can be quite like heavy hitting almost. And I mean, it's hard to have that much to say about it because it does feel like a classic RPG.
I would add, and you sort of touched on it there a little bit, but I would say, and I again haven't finished it. I'm like a couple of hours in. I would say I thought some of the writing was really good. Like, some of the dialogue writing was like really natural, and where in a lot of these, especially going for that cyberpunk vibe, where you would almost get the language where you can't help but roll your eyes at it, even though it's accurate to the genre, so to speak, or the setting. You still sort of go, oh God, this is so stupid. They're talking about decks or whatever. But there is actually some very sort of modern of today's. Like, I'm sure she says, like, there's just certain bits of dialogue that are like, oh, that's really well written. It sounds very natural and really realistic, and I'm like, I'm into this. Yeah,
it is. It's remarkably well written, and I don't know. I think the overall, all I could think was like, how have they fit everything I love about an RPG into this thing I finished, admittedly quite rushed. Well, maybe not rushed, but like, it was all I played for like a day, so I could do a review, and they fit it all into a runtime that was possible for me to do, like, not even still doing my day-to-day life, everything, and I loved every second of it. Like, it's kind of amazing that like I don't understand how there are games that are 50 hours long anymore, because you can just make them 8 with the magic of this developer.
But did you not? Because the one thing when you said that, I'm nearly going to finish it, I'm like, bloody hell, how's he done that? And then I was thinking about the things I'm really, really enjoying what I've played of it. And the only worry now I've got is like, do you want more? Because I kind of wanted this to be that. I'm at the stage still where I'm like, I want this to be like, I can't wait. But then they also do this thing of, when I think hindsight, now I know it's that long. Like where you go to the shop and it's just got everything for sale, right? There's so much for sale. And I'm like, Jesus, if this is a 30-hour game and I can already buy that amount of software and hardware, this is insane. And then now, hindsight, I know that's because you can buy anything from the start. Some of it's level gated, but you can buy. It's there. You can see what you're going to be able to get. So did you?
Yeah.
Were you left wanting more at all?
Not really. No, I think it really did hit the sweet spot of how long I wanted it to run. Really, because once I was like, because I was sort of as confused as you. Like I got to the point where I was like, I had all these things equipped. I was like, holy shit, I'm so powerful. What the hell is going to happen next? And then like I loaded up like the website of the game that just talks about it, and it said like it's like 8 to 10 hours long, and I was like, oh, actually that makes sense, because I was like, I'm going to be a god in the next like area, and I kind of was, because I was pretty much at the end, and it just sort of it slotted in nicely, and like the story like resolves really nicely as well. Like it wasn't at the point where I was like, well, you didn't tell me about this, you didn't tell me about that. Like it all just I mean,
fits before you
really
finished
well.
it, I was like, when am I going to get my second party member? I'm not. I will just say,
you're not.
That's surprising. But I will just say, I cannot stress enough how much I love how this looks and sounds. I love how this looks and sounds.
Oh, it's so good. It could have one of the best soundtracks of the year. The music is exceptional. That victory theme, we both, like, you said it initially, and I was like, let me just win another battle again.
It's got that
that's about as good as it gets, isn't it? That's amazing.
Sort of noise going through it. I remember it from one of the bottom live shows when Eddie's organ comes up out the back of the stage and he starts playing it. It's that weird like seaside organ almost, and I again, because it's got a weird. Obviously, it's super futuristic, but it's also kind of got the retro feel, and it nails it.
It
nails that. That is really well done. I don't know what size the developer is. Given if it's 8 to 10 hours, I can't imagine it's that big of a developer. But like, there's a lot to celebrate in there.
Yeah, totally, and it's one that will probably get
massively
overlooked. I don't know how that there's a lot of coverage out there currently, and it shouldn't
worth
be.
saying.
It's
out now on PC.
It's a very good
and it's
game.
out. Shit, is it 18th of September? Later in September for PS4, Switch, and Xbox One. And obviously, you can play it on your their consoles.
Yeah, it's like I think it's either a week or two later or something like that. Yeah.
Can I ask the critical question to the pair of you? Does it need to go on the list?
I think I'll
be. Well, great.
Yeah, I think I'll probably
to be honest,
want to talk about it.
There is part of me that is really intrigued about the notion of an 8-hour RPG, because
that's the other thing.
I just kind of it doesn't compute to me like how that works.
How they done it,
and how you have the things that I enjoy in an RPG condensed. So it'd be really interesting.
It's really tough, man, because there's so many good games to play for the game of the year stuff.
Yeah,
I need to finish it. Because I trust Lyle, but I also need to see if it sticks the landing for me personally, so I can't. But from what I've played,
I mean, 8 hours.
This is the other thing, and like especially since I'm playing it on Steam Deck, like I think given the games you like, probably worth a look.
Great, that list is getting long.
Have fun with that.
I have chipped away at some stuff.
I know,
but yes.
Mm-hmm. It's not easy.
No, it's a tough job that we give ourselves.
Yeah, it's awful hard work.
It is. Oof. Yeah, tough lives as well. Okay, so RPG number 2, Circus Electrique.
What you were going to be
Zen
more...
Studios.
I thought you were going to
can't remember if I
like Circus Electrique kind of thing.
Circus Electrique. Yeah. Unfortunately not. I really should have done. That was very poor showmanship of me, and I apologise. But yeah, it's a circus management game / Darkest Dungeon style RPG. So like super punishing. Well, maybe not super punishing, but like significantly punishing and like very in-depth RPG. Like you'll have how it works is you'll have like 4 circusers who go out into like combat, essentially go out to the world to have these battles, and it's really important where they're placed. So like if they're in the front row, they might have like one ability they can use, but if they're in the third row, they'll have a different ability that might be more helpful to a certain situation. Like maybe it does a different type of damage. Yeah, but sometimes in the tank at the back is actually really good in this game. Sometimes that's important because they have a really good ability when they're at the back. Like it's weird. Also, tanks are clowns, which is great. The fact that your tanks are clowns is amazing. And then there's just sort of like every character also has devotion I think it's called, which is basically like how much they like are having a good time being in your circus. And if that runs out, they will like flee the battle and want to leave the circus. If the HP runs out, they're dead forever and they're gone. And goodbye.
Stopping on that bit.
I think Fire Emblem.
Well, I think Lyle was just about to. Oh, I'm sorry, Lyle, interrupting. I think you were about to just say what I was going to say anyway. So you carry on.
Yeah. So yeah, it doesn't really tell you that this is going to happen.
Oh,
how
so
important.
I don't remember seeing a message about this.
You just sort of. No, it was just one of those things where it was like, okay, well, like, because I couldn't remember, because I previewed this game quite a while ago, and I was like, I couldn't remember if they died, it was like, they can only die a few times, because I knew they could
you know
go
what?
somehow.
You can't, there is a difficulty setting, but I still think it doesn't say anything, it doesn't say the word permadeath, I don't think.
No, I don't think so either. But it's one of those things where it happens and you go, oh shit, my party's gone.
I did.
And like, there's... So this game, me too. The first boss is very, very hard.
Lyle, it cheats.
So when you get to the first boss... It cheats. It's a cheating fucker.
It breaks the RPG rules, I think, personally, the first boss.
It has, like... It can... clone itself, have multiple turns, and do all sorts of things that are really not helpful.
Like you say, and then that should be its turn. But it doesn't. That is its turn, but then its clones all get a turn before you. That's cheating. To me, in an RPG, that's cheating. You clone them, fine, they're all there, but they now are back of the queue. They don't jump the queue. You've had your turn, fuck off, mate. I think it cheats. But listen, it's fine. You can. It's not that hard when you know what you're doing.
But yeah, that first boss, it isn't. But that first boss, I got to it, and my entire party died. That was it. I think. Did you have the same thing happen?
I reloaded the save though after I realised what that meant.
I didn't reload the save. I decided that I was dedicated and I was going to let that happen. And then you messaged me like a few hours later, just saying like, do you think the main, like, first circus members you ever get, they can die? Because they feel like the main characters. And you, like, said the names of them, and I just looked and I was like, I know they're the ones that died.
No, I thought that Grok was, like, and Balthazar, isn't it? I thought they were, like, because they're the first 2 characters, and I assume you got them as well, Grok and Balthazar. They're, like, I figured they are the, like, main ones. I actually thought they were the ones narrating it first, and then when you get into it and you realise, oh, no, they're nothing. They're just different. They're a kind of palette swap of all the other clowns and strongmen. Although, to be fair, that's a bit harsh because each of the... Although they are... Like, a clown is a clown and it's got some of the same skills. Sometimes they have different skills as well. And sometimes they have, like, different moves. So
they have...
Yeah.
So it can all change. Outside of the combat as well. Should probably mention that you have to put on circus shows.
No, that's true. But what I was going to say is what I did also find out after the fact, after I'd lost my party members and accepted their fate, after I'd gone, fine, I beat the boss and I'm going to carry on now. I did lose 2 of them, fine. So, in fact, this might be an interesting experiment. Chris, you're a big RPG fan. If you have a command in battle that says flee, what do you describe what that does in an RPG?
So it means that all of your party leave the the bat, or you try and leave the bat. Maybe you have to do something.
But the fact you said all of there.
That's the important part.
What you have to flee individually?
I couldn't have scripted this better. So not only do you have to flee individually, that is a tactic, because if you have a character that you particularly like and they're going to die, next turn they're going to get hit and die, you can flee as them. They can survive because they fled. So they've gone back to the circus or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's a way of keeping your party alive.
That's clever.
No, it is, but it never fucking tells you that until it's too late.
It's a tooltip, isn't it?
I saw it after.
That's the only way.
I saw it in the tooltip after I'd lost 2 parties. One of them was a fire breather I really, really enjoyed and had my back slot, and I always used her. And then it says, if you want to flee in battle, if someone's going to say, Oh yeah,
that would have been good.
I'm not reloading again, But yeah, sorry. So you have to also run a circus, Lyle.
You do also have to run a circus, and like a lot of this is leveling up different important carts and areas of the circus to help out. So you've got your sleeping cart of a train that's you can put one person to bed every time before you're going to go and do a battle, and they'll get some health back. And then if you upgrade it, you can keep 2 people there and they'll heal more and stuff like that. But the main thing you have to do is actually run a show at the circus. And to do that is very, very complex. And I'm not sure how easily
But it's on
I'm
screen for you if that helps currently.
You'll sort of...
I can't say it'll be there forever, but it's on screen now.
No. So you've got this setup of the show's going to have someone who starts the show, a main event, and someone who sends people home happy. And then each of your performers might they'll have a preference for, they like to be the main event, they like to go on first, etc. They'll also have, I don't want to be on next to a strong man. I really like having a fire eater on for me. And it becomes this massive puzzle. Alongside this, they all also have stats. Yep. So they're this person's funny, but doesn't have that many points in shock and awe almost, or isn't good at doesn't put on a musical performance. And show has a stat number you need to hit. Yeah, so you need to have so you need to put the right people in the right slots and also make sure that all the stats reach the right amount. Everyone's next to each other at the right point. And if you can do, also their devotion, the same thing that you use in battles, if that's higher, you get more stars for your circus performance as well. So if everyone's happier, they also do better. If you line all this up magically, which it takes a while to get the hang of, and as you progress further, it gets really, really fucking hard to ever do it. You then will get enough stars that you can you get this sort of set of 3 different stats you can put the stars into. So you'll get a star rating for the show, and then you can put them in either your circus experience will go up, so it'll level up everything. The performer will get more experience, or you'll get more money in. So you decide on all that. Then you have one battle outside of the circus, and then you have to do that all over again forever.
It's a lot.
I do kind of think that might be the main issue with the game, is that you're going to be... It sometimes feels like you're going to be arranging circus shows for the rest of your life, and that it's the only thing you'll ever get to do ever again. And it's not bad. It's actually quite interesting.
Very, very stark juxtaposition to
I was going to just say that. I was going to say, if Jack Move is the game where you can go, I'm going to write a review about it. I'll just tell you roughly what it is, because it's all kind of self-explanatory. And here's another load of words why I love it. This is okay, I probably need to write 2,000 words on every mechanical aspect of it. It's a bit Xenoblade-y, if I'm honest, in that respect. There is so much to it, man. It's... Yeah, I mean, I will also...
And a lot of it is very good.
Yeah,
and when you get into the right sort of rhythm of it, it's really enjoyable. I really enjoyed my time with the game. I think I gave it, an 8?
I think 8.5.
Something like that. So maybe 8. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, I really did enjoy it, but it's hard to say if everyone's going to click with it, because you have to put the effort in to learn everything first and foremost. It's not going to hold your hand at all. I
will say though, the combat, because I think most RPG fans or JRPG fans will really dig the combat, because it's really different. It's very difficult to explain without a visual aid, but every character's individual moves have 4 dots, and they tell you like, so this will only work if you're in the left 2 dots, which means left of the 4 characters.
Yeah.
But it only works, and then there's on the other side red dots, which shows you which enemies it can target. So there's like it's really tactical.
Yeah.
Like I can't stress enough how tactical that combat is.
And then alongside that is
interesting.
It's really interesting. I just worry if it's slightly too much. If that makes sense.
It does feel like both elements are maybe too complicated than they need to be, but at least the combat is interesting.
It all works, and it's all good.
Yeah, and I like a puzzle which sounds like what the other thing is, which is how can you join these dots together? Not dots, but you know what I mean, to make a good show.
Yeah.
Like, but well, from what you've described, I'd be finding myself moving these cards around, trying to find the perfect combination.
You will be.
I was in a fight.
Yeah, no, that's what I was. That's exactly what happened for me. But it also, the stuff makes sense. Like in a fight, if you were a clown, controlling a clown, and he's got a hammer attack, if he's at the back of the queue, he can't reach the ones at the front. That's why he can't hit them with that move. So he has to use the ball attack, which he just lobs and he can hit anyone with. So it all makes sense. Like everything about this game does make sense. But it's, like you said, Lyle, it's difficult to just go, everyone should play this, because it is complex in a way that I don't know that many games, certainly indie games, are this complex. It is to me the 2D Xenoblade in terms of mechanical complexity. There's so much going on.
It's one of those games where, like, whereas with Jack Move, I can say if you love RPGs, JRPGs specifically, you should play Jack Move. It's great. With Circus Electrique, it's harder to recommend, but there are going to be people who like latch onto this like nothing else. There are going to be people who adore this game, who like everything clicks with, and the complexity is just right for them. But like, it's also kind of hard to say, yeah, just go for it, because it's a lot. You're gonna have to put the effort in. It's not gonna hold your hand. No. Your whole party's gonna die at some point, and that's gonna be sad. And you're gonna have to put on a lot of circus shows. I also thought, right, so that in regards to the circus shows and the fact that you have to organize them between it's between every fight early on, and then you can put on 2-day shows and eventually 3-day shows. So it does mean you can have more fights between them essentially by the end. So I was like, okay, well, I kind of want to just go back to the combat. I am going to try and rush this. Notice that there was an autofill option for the circus. And I thought, if there's an autofill option and it's, fairly competent, if not perfect, I could just do this for the whole game now if I wanted to, or, do it every so often. I did the autofill, and it did the worst fucking job anyone could ever do at filling out these cards. Nothing was in the right place at all. I was getting... I wouldn't say that I was spectacular at putting on these shows, but I was getting sort of an average, because I was quite far in the game, of 10 stars for each one. So I was getting a lot of stats that I could put into everything. I did the autofill. First time I did it, they got 3 stars. Second time they did it, they got 2 stars. And it was just well, this isn't going to do anything. This is not going to help my game at all. I'm just gonna fall behind in experience. I'm just gonna fall behind in money, and it's gonna fuck me over. So I can never ever use this. If that option had worked as I thought it would, and it had maybe made my show a 7 or 8 star show, and I could skip it every so often and probably still make it through the game, it could have been a big boost. So that was unfortunate. I thought that could have really helped, and it didn't. But I mean, like I say, really fun. Some people are gonna absolutely love it, but if the hardcore elements we've discussed and the complexity we've discussed doesn't sound too appealing, you've probably got your answer, haven't you?
That's fair. Loads. I will say again, not as in love with the audio, but visually, again, I love how this game looks. It's got a great look.
Yeah, really cool. I love the theme as well. The circus theme is so cool, and all the different types of performers as you get further on into the game, they're all so different. You'll get ventriloquists and snake charmers and human cannonballs, all sorts of things. And every one of these classes, you don't get one and think oh, this is just sort of the same upfront fighter as the last one. They all feel really different enough. So different abilities and stuff to take advantage of. It's very cool.
Indeed. And all the games we've talked about this week, Splatoon 3, Disney, Dreamlight Valley, Steelrising, Circus Electrique, Jack Move. You can go to godisageek.com and read full reviews of them. In fact, I think Yep, all 5 of them have video reviews as well on this very channel, just thinking about it. So if you're not subscribed and you found this somehow, you can see video reviews of all those games and see lots of footage and our lovely words of all of us. It's time for Listener Correspondence, which means we have a jingle to play, but it's a different jingle. We have got another new jingle. And for the next couple of weeks, we're going to have this jingle. We've had the other one for 2 weeks. Maybe leading up to something, who knows? Maybe we can put Mr. Hyde on the spot. But it's time to play the jingle. So here we go.
Chris Hyde, Listen Correspondence. It's time. It's time. Chris Hyde.
In fact, I'm going to let Chris watch it because he's watching it now. You can't hear him; he's on mute, but he's listening to it right now, just for our benefit. So he's now reacting to what you've just seen. If you're watching this or hearing this, I don't know.
Why is there a sheep in it?
Why is there a sheep in it?
It was like, it started off like, I don't know, like sort of like Love Island type thing, and then all of a sudden there's a sheep in it. I didn't get it.
Initially, I was going to really go to town and properly put you in that scene, like really make it look. I just didn't have a good enough footage of you that would scale correctly, and then I just thought, this is the thing about my brain is that video. I didn't do the music. That's Steve again. Thank you, Steve. But the video is kind of an insight into the way my brain works. Like, silly, 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 sheep. Silly, silly, silly. Like, that's kind of how my brain works. So there you go. That's your jingle. Yeah, we'll play that one again next week and at the end of this as well. So, Chris, over to you.
Oh, I look forward to that. Okay, so we've just got the questions from Mick, who gave the super chat earlier, and he always separates the questions out for each of us. So, Adam, I'll come to you first.
Sure.
I'm going to guess what he's asking here. He says, favourite NFS game, which I'm guessing is Need for Speed. Could be something else.
I got a bit worried for a minute that it was NSFW game. And I don't have anything.
That's a Lyle question.
That'd be a me question, wouldn't it?
Hot Pursuit, I think, probably. That game on 360 was absolutely terrific. Just awesome, that game. The way it did leaderboards and stuff at the time was it felt almost revolutionary. I just think Hot Pursuit was a fantastic game. That's the easy one.
Okay.
There's not been many good ones since, to be honest. There's a couple of all right ones, but that one for me was the kind of the peak, and then it was all like up and down a bit, and then just. And there's leaks doing the rounds, isn't there? There's leaks doing the round that they're doing another one that's going to have FMV in it again. It's like just fuck, you know. But yeah, Hot Pursuit.
Okie doke. He then says Square Enix has 123,098,213 games coming this year. What do you want to play for fun and not for work?
Sorry, that's me clapping. Terrible on an audio podcast, but I wondered if you'd bother to go for that number and say it, and I'm so much respect for that. It's the Dio Field Chronicle for me. Like, I just want to play that game for fun. I stopped playing the demo. I started it again on Steam Deck because the demo save carries over, and I'm like, I stopped again when I got to the same point because I'm like, I'm just gonna hit the end of this chapter and then be like, I really want to play more. I really like that kind of game, the tacticsy style game, and I like what that game's doing. So for me, assuming that's what he means, and it's a Square Enix game he's asking me about, then that definitely.
Okay, this is an interesting one actually. Favorite seasonal coffee drink? It doesn't specify the season. I instantly thought it meant winter or.
Well, isn't that what he means though? Like, because there are different. Like, say if you go to a Costa or something, they'll have different seasonal.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got an answer. It's an easy. Bang! It's a gingerbread latte.
Okay.
I really like a gingerbread latte. They used to do. It's not coffee, but just so I can have just a quick moan. They used to do a Spanish hot chocolate style thing in the winter, and they did it for 1 year. And it came in a cup that was like, do you know what? Either of you know what a cortado is?
Yes.
Okay. So Lyle's looking a bit confused. I'm guessing it's a really small coffee.
It's a really small coffee.
Not really, no.
With a bit of milk on the top.
A little bit of milk, yeah.
But it's a small coffee, like, you know.
Basically an espresso
Yeah, kind of espresso top. Yeah, that sort of size. And this Spanish hot chocolate, which they didn't call it that, but that's how I know it as, was in slightly bigger cups. But again, they were like that. And the reason for that is that they are so thick and strong. If you've ever had like that Spanish hot chocolate stuff, then they are so delicious. Oh, yes. But I reckon what happened...
Definitely a soundbite episode today.
Yeah, I reckon what happened is people ordered this for a hot chocolate. Oh, new hot chocolate, got it. And they're like, oh, fucking hell. And I reckon so many people complained about the size of it that they went, let's just not fucking do that again. Let's just not do it anymore because it's a more hassle. And I'm like, that it makes me so angry of the lack of culture in this country that it's like...
Extra large.
Yeah, that's it, exactly that. Like, people will have got... I can imagine people going, oh, I'll have that, whatever hot chocolate they call it. Like, oh, yeah, and they did a caramel one as well. And they're both delicious. The standard hot chocolate one was brilliant. And like, I can imagine them getting it and going, what? This is tiny. I paid £4 for this, you know what I mean? Because it was a very luxurious drink. And it makes me angry. But yeah, gingerbread latte. I think you two should answer as well, though, that question.
I mean, Lyle's pretty much already answered as well. I'd have to agree with the gingerbread latte. I like a coffee, as you know.
Yes.
And you get like different random seasonal syrups and stuff, don't you? And it's always seems to be the gingerbread one that I end up going, do you know what? That's the nicest.
Yes.
One of the lot.
They did a Terry's chocolate orange one.
See,
it was all right. It was a bit chemically. Some of them can be. You can taste that they are not really.
Is that the one?
That was Costa.
Like Costa,
and they put
got
a little
the cherry's chocolate orange slice on the side.
Yes,
I didn't mind that. I thought that was nice.
No, I said I think that one was all right.
Yeah,
but I still would probably go back for gingerbread.
They did some Quality Street ones. I think that was last year as well, didn't they?
Yes, I had the purple one. I spent a lot of time in hospitals this year, so I kind of tried them all. And the purple one, that one tasted very chemically to me. Like, it didn't taste correct. I don't know how you make it. It's praline, isn't it? Caramel and hazelnut.
It's just hazelnut.
Hazelnut's a difficult flavour. That can be very chemical tasting.
The thing is, I find here we go. The thing I find with a lot of these is that they either the idea or the smell is actually nice, and then the taste is just so disappointing. And you're like, I wanted a coffee, and now I've got this weird tasting thing. But I don't want to throw. I don't want to throw away my coffee.
Have you ever had your gingerbread man fall in your gingerbread latte though?
No, but I feel
that sounds like hell.
I don't normally double dip gingerbread. Double dip,
but I've had it where they pop it. I think the idea is some of them you should just pop it in the cream on top. Now, I don't normally have that in my coffee.
So it comes with a little gingerbread man on the top?
Oh, yeah, and what they did, I think because it was often like in the pandemic and stuff, and what they would do is they just give you your cup with the lid on, and they just pop a little gingerbread man on the top of it, so you just go...
With you, yeah.
But I did have one fall in, and it was not... Well, it's never nice to lose a biscuit in a hot drink.
Oh, the dregs of that.
Exactly that.
They're just sad.
But I think because it was a gingerbread biscuit, perhaps that like it just sort of almost broke into pieces. So you would get it was like this just ruined it. It ruined it.
Well, it's also a person, isn't it? Which is grim.
It's a gingerbread man.
There was a drowning
gingerbread man. Yes, really. Exactly. That's my point. You know, his little face.
You must be a really big fan of Shrek.
Yeah, I like Shrek.
Because I never once was like, well, I mean, so what does that mean? Do you mean like you have to eat him in one so you can't bite his head off and go, oh, whoops? I mean, I'm not saying I bite his head off and I'm like, torture. Like, you know.
You little fucker.
Just the idea of him like drowning and melting. Like,
but you're okay eating him.
Yeah,
because that's a much better death for him. Burning to disintegration instantly because of the heat of the drink is bad, but you eating him in pieces and slowly dissolving in your stomach acid is not okay.
I don't know. I think that the burning would take longer. I don't think it's instant when he falls in there. I think he's drowning and burning, and I think that's awful. Yeah. Whereas I think if I bite a head off, like he's dead, isn't he?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. That's the end of it.
Chickens can live without their body.
You chew it by food as well.
It's worse if you like go for the legs first, because then you are being sadistic because he can still feel pain.
Yeah. No, you're not, because it's not a real thing.
That's the only way it's worse.
Well, all right then.
It's a biscuit.
Got a lack of empathy, really, for gingerbread
snacks, biscuits, yeah, I'm not that fussed about them. Do you not eat Percy Pigs either? Oh, I can't eat that snake. I don't want to... I shouldn't have done that on camera. But
there's been some really interesting actions and sounds that you've done tonight.
How are you with, like, you know, Percy Pigs? Or what about Colin the Caterpillar Cake? You got to cut him into bits. You can't see that. I say off camera
Yeah,
I'm doing that. You've got to
mate,
sort
you're
of
not helping
slice
yourself.
him a little bit, like Colin the Caterpillar. You know?
Yeah. I don't care as much about
So it's just gingerbread
Colin or
man.
Percy, I guess.
It was just to be clear. I'm not like save the gingerbread man. Like I'm merely stating that if a gingerbread
Hashtag, that
man
needs a hashtag.
fell in my coffee, I would think, he's burning in the coffee, as opposed to a rich tea biscuit. Whereas I'd be like, oh, for fuck's sake, the biscuit's in my coffee.
You can get
I feel like this could be.
You can get biscuit flavored tea now.
I know. Who'd have that in their house?
It's quite nice.
See, my mum has it, and I'm like, that's just it feels like it should be wrong.
No, I agree, but it doesn't taste like you think. It doesn't taste like a biscuit that's been lost at sea. Lost at tea! Bang!
Lost at tea. Damn it!
Fuck!
Damn it! We're better than this, lads.
That's the title. Shall I ask you your questions now?
Yeah, let's move on.
Have you finished
Although I'm
Xenoblade
gonna
Chronicles
get
3
spanked
yet?
for this, so... Like, listen, I haven't
He
even
says,
played it.
No, you listen. He says, you're sparking making me snuffing wait this long, innit?
In it, Gov. Listen, I haven't even played it this week. I haven't played it since we last did a podcast. Because I'm an arsehole. I've been trying to catch up with some other stuff. Normally, I'm this person that's like, I've got to finish one game and then go on to the next one.
Are you though? Because you didn't finish Horizon. You just dumped that for Elden Ring like a used tissue.
Oh, don't. My wife's nearly finished Horizon. Like, she's like, so now, other than you, she's now badgering me going, you've got to play Horizon. Like, I know I've got to fucking play Horizon. Find my time machine and I'll play Horizon. So now
I've met your wife, as you know, and I instantly liked her.
Yeah.
She's just
I
really likable, Chris.
You were going to double team me about Horizon.
Fucking hell.
And Mass Effect. Like, I genuinely thought that was going to happen. I was like, oh, God, this is going to be a fun conversation. I'll go and speak to... Yeah.
I'll let you know that I did, when we were talking about it, I did think about it. I did think we could... I thought, no, I'm not going to do this in front of his wife. I can't emasculate the man.
Well, she does. She's literally like, why have you not played it? You should play it. It's a good game.
Sorry, and what do you respond?
I have chosen
You have chosen to not play it.
Because of Elden Ring, not because it was shit.
Elden Ring was ages ago.
Fucking months.
No, I know. And then other games came out. Look, I'm not perfect. I understand that.
You can't say that on a recorded thing.
Sorry, can you edit that?
No, it's
I am
live.
Flawless.
Well, you've said them both now. You've sort of rebalanced the scales.
Yeah.
So no, he hasn't finished it. He hasn't played it.
I haven't finished it. I'm still on chapter 5.
You've got quite
far
a lot
too
left.
over-leveled. What's that?
You've got quite a lot left then.
I'm sure I have. I do. I'm really enjoying it. I have to say, the other stuff I've been playing instead, I have enjoyed. So I'm glad I've kind of mixed it up. But in all seriousness, I'm going to have to go back to it at some point. Otherwise, I'm going to do that thing where I'm like, what the fuck's going on?
You're going to Horizon it, aren't you?
I'm going to Horizon it. But
you're
luckily,
going to ghost it like you did Aloy.
Luckily, I'm married to a narrator for Horizon, so she can just tell me everything that happened up to the point where I'm at. So that's lucky.
No, sorry, you don't get to be angry about her when like she's in the right. That's not fair. She's correct.
She is. She hasn't played Elden Ring.
She might.
She fucking won't.
Well, that sounds like a threat.
She'll go. So I tell you what, she'll go and replay Mass Effect or replay Dragon Age. That's what she'll do when she's finished Horizon. Or no, I tell you what, which will make it even.
I really hope she's just behind that door, like one ear to it.
But like, I actually recommended that she should play God of War, obviously, and then she'll play Ragnarok, and then she'll do it again.
She'll finish that before you as well.
And then she'll play it again. We've already had the discussion. She's like, well, when Dragon Age 4 comes out, we're going to have to get it on 2 separate consoles because I can't be asked to wait for you to finish it, for me to play it. So we're just going to have to get it twice. I'm like, yes, dear. Okay. So I've already been bollocked for that. The game's not even got a release date. So there you go. That's the state of my relationship. So thanks, Mick. No, I haven't finished Xenoblade Chronicles 3 yet.
Are you grabbing Splatoon 3? That's an easy question.
I don't know. Given that I've got no time. It's like... Right, so the thing is, right, I should have asked this actually in the conversation about Splatoon 3. It strikes me very much as a game I will only play with mates. And so therefore, no, I'm well aware that you are an acquaintance. What I'm saying is, like, if I get it and spend time with it, I'm not spending on other games like Xenoblade Chronicles 3 or Horizon or anything else, it'd be because all my mates are playing it. So that would be the thing that would sway it for me. Because I don't think it's a game I'd be like, I'm sure the campaign's great, but it would be I'd play it for the multiplayer. So I'd need, that'd be the thing. So we'd need to get a group of us going, yeah, I'm all over it. I know you'd be up for it because I know you love Splatoon, but it's
Okay. And his other question
you're not enough. I need more people.
Yeah, fair. Sticking with Switch, if you could pick one exclusive from October, would you get Bayonetta 3 or Mario plus
He's
Rabbids?
an arsehole making me pick.
Hope?
Okay. Bayonetta 3 or Mario Rabbids. If I could only pick one, Bayonetta 3. But it's really close.
Oh, yeah, it's not a lot in it, but I think I'm with you.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I want to play both. But that's not the question. But if I had to pick, I think I'd pick Bayonetta 3.
I'd say the same, just since we
I
all
thought
have.
I was going to get outraged, but that's good. Okay, cool. Lyle, I'll do your questions then, mate. So, since you've got on the Steam... Oh, God, it always fucking comes up. Since you've got on the Steam Deck, do you see yourself playing more PC... It's not that I'm jealous. Not that I'm the only one here that hasn't got one. Do you see yourself playing more PC games than you normally would? And he means like non-review stuff.
I mean, yeah, I don't really know why I would buy a game anywhere but on Steam now, really. Like, if I know it runs well enough, it's cheaper, it's going to be handheld, it's going to be easier for everyone. Like, if, my partner, if he wants to watch some on TV or whatever, I'll be able to carry on playing. It always just feels nicer to have something handheld. Like, a lot of how quickly I finished. Oh, yeah, sorry, should have thought of that. A lot of the reason why I got to play so much of Jack Move and basically finish it in 24 hours is because it was on the Steam Deck. It's great to have that as an option. Like, it's I don't really see myself with any sort of game I know I'm going to have to put a lot of time into not getting it on the Steam Deck over anything else, because I'm going to get Elden Ring there very, very soon. Maybe like within the next few days if I fancy it.
Borrow off Chris's wife, perhaps.
Yeah. Yeah. So Steam Deck is where I'll buy most things on Steam so I can play it there when that's an option. It's pretty much the plan.
Okay, and then last question this week: thoughts on the new Pokemon trailer?
If he says,
bollocks! I meant to watch it before this.
Thoughts on the new Pokemon trailer coming next week?
I've watched it. I think.
Yeah, what was it like?
It's really good, mate. It's really interesting. Like there was actually a little bit of it where I was wondering if there is some of that Arceus style catching in there somewhere. I don't think there is, but I think there was a bit where I was like, oh, is there some open world catchy sort of stuff? I don't know, but no, I thought it looked really cool and visually much better than some of the previous titles. And it feels odd because it's September, it's out in November, and that trailer felt like kind of like this is the last trailer. Do you know what I mean? It was quite extensive. It showed gym leaders. It showed like the Pokemon League what's the word I'm looking for? Like leader. It showed a lot of stuff that I'm like, that's probably enough now, actually, especially given how much they go on about leaks and stuff. But yeah, no, I enjoyed it. And Lyle, you would too, I'm sure.
Sounds really good.
Yeah, no, it is. It is. Right, time for a jingle, I think.
Do it. Listen to Correspondence. It's time. It's time. Chris Hyde.
And that's Listener Correspondence. Thank you, Chris Hyde. And thanks, Steve, for the jingle. We'll play that one again next week. And then maybe we've got a third and final one for Chris to choose between. Who knows? Maybe episode 500 is going to all be about him picking the jingle that's final and stays there for all time. If you did enjoy this, you can get it early. You can see it after the fact. It'll go disappear and then it'll come back on the day we go live to everyone on a Monday. That's patreon.com/GodIsAGeek, and you can follow us on all social medias at GodIsAGeek and all that stuff. Go to the website and you'll see actual content there that's not just video form. And other than that, it just remains to say thank you to Chris and to Lyle for being here.
Thank you.
To say thank you to the people who are in the chat, the people who will listen to us later, and we will speak to you next week or whenever you choose to listen. Bye bye for now.